All right. So next subject. All of us here, Jamaicans. So the United States, they have, as long as I can remember, held up themselves as just the pinnacle and the ultimate democracy of freedom, and this is how you must do it. Um, and running all around the world, monitoring elections and say you're not doing things the right way. You look at us, we're the gold standard of elections and democracy. But my question, and I'll list off some examples, is right now as we sit here, what makes the United States any different from some of the most corrupt regimes, throughout the world that they're always running around trying to say you're doing things the wrong way? So, as I said, that if you kind of think about it, for one, outside interference in elections, right? So, right before I left Jamaica, right, with the 1980 election, with the interference of the CIA, the JLP and the PNP and CIA, which we'll cover that that topic deserves a whole segment on the show at some point. But how they interfered in Jamaica's elections to steer certain results. They wanted the JLP in power because the Reagan administration, the conservative, they wanted to, and they didn't want Jamaica to be aligned to Castro, so they interfered with the election and armed one party against the other, and that was a bloody, messy election. 1980, it was a mess. So now we're having our elections interfered with by Russia and God knows who else. Beyond that, right now we're looking at the legitimate possibility of election day violence. That when have you thought about that before? You know what I mean? Where they literally, FBI literally arrested about 8 people in Michigan for a plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan. And a similar plot was there to kidnap, the governor of Virginia. And Trump and his henchmen bawling out to these, militia types to go to the polls and watch, quote unquote, the polls. So basically stand up there with,
Guns and stuff.
AR-15s and what have you to intimidate people. Some real third world shit, right? And that is something that is legitimately being encouraged openly by the leader of this country. Add another point on that, you have, this corrupt administration basically enriching themselves or himself in broad daylight before everybody. Every single weekend this man gone to one of his golf resorts. And what happens there? We as taxpayers are paying money into his pocket directly for him to go and have a weekend vacation. And not just him, when the president moves, hundreds of people move with him. Now they all have to stay in Trump resorts, paying money out of US taxpayer money to go to him directly. So basically taking resources of the state for his own benefit. You have the Trump Hotel in DC, where you have, people from all sorts of foreign governments, when they come in town, they pay to stay at that hotel, and that's known as the hotel that you go and stay if you want the president's air, or go to Mar-a-Lago, and, you pay membership and you give the president. So, and the thing is, when we talk about Trump, these things don't even come up because it's like we're used to this level of corruption. This man is openly taking millions of dollars of our money in broad daylight and everybody knows about it and doing nothing about it. So, with that said, my simple question is, like I started off at the beginning, what makes the US right now different from the most corrupt regimes all throughout the world that they always run around talking about in Africa and South America and what have you, and pointing that you're the bad guys? Why are we so different? Is there any difference? Especially, what do you say?
No different. Because, Jamaica might not have any proud boys, but we have gangsters and dancers.
We have reggae boys.
I do the same thing down there. where the leader say, yo, we need you to go for a minister. Them gone for them. If the leader say you need to shoot up a dance, them have them guys ready. So, I found it very strange, when Trump said about stand back and stand by. I wasn't
strange.
sure what he was saying. No, I wasn't sure what he was saying. Until we actually hear the Proud Boys come and say, boy, how we must talk to? Hold on and see where am I going with. I didn't even know there were people standing by waiting for orders from him like that. Where, they had stuff planned to kidnap people, but them are going to hold it down until them hear the up top boss say, yo, go and go do your thing. So that is what people need to understand. See, this guy's running, the country like, again.
Downship.
And and him are the big Dan, right? And nobody else can talk to him. And even him own advisor, sometimes I'm afraid to talk to him. Right? And you can't have somebody in power, right, where the advisors can't even say, yo, how are you doing, G? Not do that, man. I understand that. But I
don't listen about it.
Jamaica too. I same thing. Yeah, same thing.
It's worse than like Jamaica, for example, because it's out in plain sight. It's on CNN. He says this shit and out loud, and we know everything else. We know I'm going to Doral or Golf Resort for the weekend, and that millions of dollars going into my pockets. And people just say, okay, let me take my kids to a soccer match and move on. It's just not even paying attention. You know what I mean? Texas, what do you say?
I have to wholeheartedly agree with Special. I mean, it's basically being run like the mob. It's really been ran like the mob, like in the '60s, where you had the mob boss, and everybody's waiting on their orders and commands in order to get things done. And it's really sad. And I know Chris said, we're looked at as the pinnacle and as leaders. I don't think after this administration, I don't think that anymore. And especially after we handled the pandemic. I mean, come on.
Nope.
We had heads up way before most people did, and we just botched that. Or I'm not going to say we. I'm going to say the administration botched that.
Damn.
So, yeah, definitely. I don't think we're at the top anymore, and hopefully, in 3 weeks, we have some leadership that'll bring us back to the top and let us be an example for the other leaders and countries.
Whew. Lord, if you're listening, Doc, what do you say?
Yes. I disagree. I'm kidding. We are all. I'm starting to poke fun, but yeah. I do agree with the two gentlemen. I mean, there's just absolutely no difference. Politics is politics anywhere you go. It's faceted on, for the most part, corruption. And with that being said, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, except with this guy that we had in power, he was just very blatant and unapologetic for, the total disregard for America in general. And, just very, very poor presidency.
Like the thought they had in power. Like the thought they. This is the guy we had in power. Like the thought.
Past tense, yes.
Like the thought.
Yes, past tense, yes. We love that. Fire burn him.
But I've never heard of these Proud Boys until him said something.
Now they're proud. Oh man, there was I can't remember the exact. In one of the things about bashing Cube. It said about Cube's new movie, Proud Boys in the Hood.
What?
But shout out to Ice Cube. Anyway, so the Donship thing is it's a very real example, and if I'm listening to a few prosecutors who are actually on the Robert Mueller team and that special prosecution, they're looking into the Russia thing, who have prosecuted mob bosses their whole careers. And I said the way that Trump moves and the way that the sworn loyalty and dangle pardons and threaten people if you talk, and it's like there is nothing different from the way he moves and the way that the biggest Don in La Cosa Nostra move is the same thing. You know what I mean? So we're sitting here just kind of wallowing it, like now go on, like this isn't as bad as it is, So we said it many times. This is definitely the most important election since I've lived in this country by far. You know what I mean? There's more at stake than we can possibly imagine. Another 4 years of this cannot happen. It just cannot.
And if we want to go further back, I want all the viewers and subscribers to check out how Trump's father made his money. He was basically a gangster. So let's do our research and due diligence on that one.
Yep, he was a gangster, and he was a horrible person by all means. And he basically he gifted Trump $400 million. That's where his money is. His money come from. Yeah, you get somebody $400 million. That's where you get the money, and then from that, you just kind of live off the name, and from then it's just building on the hype. Selling yourself as a self-made, or everything you run go bankrupt and what have you. But anyway, so you go.